This episode is brought to you by Paddle. Don't settle for less when you can have more, MOR, with Paddle, your merchant of record. Eliminate the headaches of payments, grow your revenue everywhere, and focus on what you do best, building your product. Get more revenue with less hassle at paddle.com. Guys, I've got something cool to tell you about. As an engineering leader, a manager, and an engineer myself, I'm geeking out over a new product I'm just discovering that helps me with each of these points of view. The great team at SEMA, builders of the SEMA Intelligence Platform, have been working on what they call the Product Roadmap Radar. It's this integrated solution that uses generative AI to observe your code and Jira in order to summarize, synthesize, and make it easier to deliver your roadmap. It not only helps keep your roadmap on track, but it helps reduce the time engineers spend in meetings. Cue all the engineers clapping. The Product Roadmap Radar is extremely easy to set up. This only takes about 5 minutes. Just enable your integrations and let AI do all the mapping for you. My favorite part? I'm glad you asked. The radar doesn't just tell you about your roadmap. It suggests changes you need to make based on the code that's been written and the stories that have been addressed. No commenting, no special setup, all generative AI. It gives you an outside view of your roadmap based on the code and projects a target completion date based on outstanding work and activity. Again, no comments, no special setup. It even detects shadow work when development is being done but Jira isn't being updated. I'm pretty jazzed about it, and I think you will be too. Take a second to watch a short but awesome demo video. Go to codestory.co/PRR to watch it today. You'll like what you see. This episode is sponsored by Postman. Postman is the world's leading API platform, trusted by 98% of the Fortune 500 and over 40 million developers. Tap into APIs from 18,000 plus companies to power agents that make smarter decisions. Learn more at postman.com/podcast/codestory. This message is sponsored by Melee Search. Today, search isn't just a feature, it's a cornerstone. And Melee Search gives your users the experience they need with lightning-fast performance, full-text search, AI usage, and multimodal capabilities. Melee Search delivers relevant results in less than the blink of an eye. Use the promo code CODESTORY at checkout to get 2 months free at meleesearch.com. That's MEILI search.com. This episode is brought to you by PropelOff. People take authentication for granted, but it's more than how customers log into your product. It's how you manage your relationship with your users. The easiest way to make authentication your advantage is to use PropelOff. PropelOff is more than just functional. It's powerful. With tools like Managed UIs, Enterprise SSO, robust user management features, and actionable insights, PropelOff adapts as your product grows. And the best part? When auth is effortless, your team can focus on scaling, not troubleshooting. That means more releases, happier customers, and more growth for your business. Save dev time, win over your customers, and propel your business forward with PropelOff. Check them out at propeloff.com. That's PROPELAUTH.com.
In a SaaS world, you focus on that white hot center and you try to build the really defensible thing as small and focused as you can and then scale up from there. So like rock climbing, you're finding that little crack and you're pushing it. In services, you actually want to stay really broad and you want to be like end-to-end, like we make cakes. But that services MVP has to have a wedge. So it has to be something that is like painful enough or so commoditized and such a bad service that they're willing to basically adopt a new one. I'm Brennan Pothetes, the CEO and co-founder of Infinity Constellation, the first AI services holdco.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to
took
do next.
many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their
A
back.
company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve more.
I was proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was a
Yes,
pain.
we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time. The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it.
It's not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story.
I'm your host, Noah Labhart, and today how Brennan Pothetes is empowering bold and daring founders to create impactful AI tech-driven services. Brennan Pothetes grew up in Louisiana, but went to high school in Portland, Oregon, two very different places. He started his career in internal audit before he eventually helped launch Simple, the first bank on the iPhone. He has built a lot of companies since and continues to do so today. But outside of business and tech, he likes food and enjoys whipping up some Cajun or Greek cuisine. Recently, he picked up surfing, but also likes to sit down with real-time strategy games like Civilization. Brennan was one of the first customers of Invisible, which was one of the biggest trainers of LLMs. After he sold his company, he was approached by the board of that company to help them spin businesses out, but in a strategic way with a holdco, allowing them to work together through 0 to 1 and beyond with AI. This is the creation story of Infinity Constellation.
So Infinity itself is like a really interesting company that's really the first of its kind. Years ago, I was the first customer of a company called Invisible. Invisible helps train 80% of the world's LLMs. And they also applied those models into the Fortune 500. When I sold my last business, the founder and chairman, Francis Pedraza, and the board contacted me. And basically, they had this really cool or this fun problem that most founders dream of having, which is they have these really big prolific companies who are clients, and then they kept having amazing AI services ideas. But every time they would want to launch one, they had to be really focused on building the next iteration of the next big LLM model, right? Francis felt like he kept trading off against future billion, trillion dollar outcomes. And I'm just really good at building 0 to 1. So the board basically asked me to come on and help them figure out how to spin businesses out. And what we came up with is we first started looking at doing a venture fund or a venture studio. Then we were okay, that's great, but we would have to sell all our ownership at the end of 7 years to return the fund. That's not cool if you create the next big company. Then we thought about doing a big PE holdco. And I think that's really hard to deploy tech in to basically deliver the IRR that you want. And so we basically started looking at holdcos. And the most famous one is Berkshire Hathaway, which is prolific, of course. But there's another one called Constellation Software that's really notable. Rocket Internet did a really great one. And what's neat is with the holdco, we can basically set up businesses, start them, fund them, and be really dynamic about adding technology to them, what we manage at scale together, what new businesses we start, how we invest. And so that's how Infinity Constellation was born. So we've created 8 companies in the last year. We've gone 0 to over 7 million in revenue in 12 months. And our 8 businesses are all run by repeat founders in full stack service spaces. So we're targeting AI services. So most of, I think, Silicon Valley is building a lot of SaaS. And the analogy we always use, if you were a baker, Silicon Valley wants everyone to be a baker and they're trying to sell you a better cake mixer, right? And so this is a better cake mixer, an even better cake mixer now. Go make your own cake. And all our businesses are, you don't have to be a baker, we'll be the baker. Here's a cake. And really that is taken off. So the biggest ones in the public space are Palantir and ServiceNow. But that's really taken off in the AI space because a lot of our customers, whether it's with Everest, with EA as a service, or Radiance with design, or Supernal, where we build super agents that basically give you your first AI employee, we're all doing a forward deployed motion where we deliver a full stack cake, quote unquote, service to you. And what's really wild is a lot of our customers are businesses that I've never sold to before in tech. I usually sell to other tech companies. I'm usually selling in New York and San Francisco. And a lot of our customers in Infinity are a shipping company or a big reinsurance company out of Virginia, or they're people who believe a lot in AI and believe a lot in technology, but they just want a cake. They don't want to have to become a baker to make that cake, if that makes sense. So what we are is basically the world's first AI services holding company, where we pair repeat founders with applied AI people, and we build businesses, and we back those businesses, and we grow those businesses, and business is going really well. So that's us and me in a nutshell.
So this will be interesting because normally I'm interviewing those SaaS founders like you were referencing in your example there, and I'm asking them about MVPs, but I'm curious about what you would consider the first version of this, right? The first version of Infinity Constellation, or maybe in the first execution, the first piece of it. You know, I'm still kind of even wrapping my head around that question, but what would you consider your MVP?
MVP is still a thing. Like I started out as a product guy, and I think like a lot of us for years were scared to build in services because it's not something investors rewarded, and it wasn't like the standard thing. But now with AI, it really expands the margin, and it's actually a really sticky revenue source. And for me, like an MVP, and that stays true to whether you're building SaaS or anything else, is like in a SaaS world, you focus on that white hot center, and you try to build the really defensible thing as small and focused as you can, and then scale up from there. So like rock climbing, you're finding that little crack and you're pushing it. In services, you actually want to stay really broad, and you want to be like end-to-end, like we make cakes. But that services MVP has to have a wedge. So it has to be something that is like painful enough or so commoditized and such a bad service that they're willing to basically adopt a new one. And for instance, like recruiting, one of our companies, Zero Hiring, is an AI RPO at scale. And I'd say that space is like really fraught with a lot of people trying to deliver recruiting to folks. We set that business up in a way that they're using AI to basically, the industry's time to place is about 75 days. They can place it in about 22 days. And so they're first just like, hey, we'll show you what we can do. We can deliver at a better value. So to me, an MVP is like demonstrating the services work, demonstrating the values connecting with the customer on that service, and then going from there from like a wedge into a flywheel motion. Whereas like when I was building SaaS as an MVP, I'd focus like really tightly on a white hot center, find the next three customers, build from there, and then iterate and expand, trying to like add on ARR and expansion ARR. Whereas like the AI services is like a bit different.
Guys, I've got something cool to tell you about. As an engineering leader, a manager, and an engineer myself, I'm geeking out over a new product I'm just discovering that helps me with each of these points of view. The great team at SEMA, builders of the SEMA Intelligence Platform, have been working on what they call the Product Roadmap Radar. It's this integrated solution that uses generative AI to observe your code and Jira in order to summarize, synthesize, and make it easier to deliver your roadmap. It not only helps keep your roadmap on track, but it helps reduce the time engineers spend in meetings. Cue all the engineers clapping. The Product Roadmap Radar is extremely easy to set up. This only takes about 5 minutes. Just enable your integrations and let AI do all the mapping for you. My favorite part? I'm glad you asked. The radar doesn't just tell you about your roadmap. It suggests changes you need to make based on the code that's been written and the stories that have been addressed. No commenting, no special setup, all generative AI. It gives you an outside view of your roadmap based on the code and projects a target completion date based on outstanding work and activity. Again, no comments, no special setup. It even detects shadow work when development is being done but Jira isn't being updated. I'm pretty jazzed about it, and I think you will be too. Take a second to watch a short but awesome demo video. Go to codestory.co/PRR to watch it today. You'll like what you see. This episode is brought to you by Paddle. As a startup, you face unique challenges to stay competitive. You and your team need to stay focused on your product, not your payments. You need to do more, MOR, and DIY less. With Paddle. Paddle is your merchant of record, becoming the seller of record for your SaaS transactions, enabling your team to focus on what's important, your product. Paddle handles all payment management across multiple gateways and methods, taking ownership of tax liability while remaining compliant with regulations across all markets. The platform handles all aspects of SaaS billing, billing models, upgrades, add-on, trials, and more. Let's look at the results. MOR revenue optimization is built into Paddle and accounts for up to 16% higher conversion rates, reduced payment failures, localized pricing, and churn prevention, recovering 40% of cancellations. Their developer-friendly tools are API first with comprehensive documentation, removing the burden from your engineers. With Paddle as your merchant of record, you'll generate more revenue, find and keep more customers, grow faster, and stay compliant everywhere. So what are you waiting for? Get more revenue with less hassle at paddle.com. This message is sponsored by .tech Domains. Picture this. You dig deep and think of an amazing name for your tech startup, spending months to perfect it. And then you settle for a cluttered .com domain with fillers and added words. Yeah, it's really disappointing. That is, unless you get a clean, sharp, and memorable .tech domain. .tech signals loud and clear that tech is at your startup's core. A .tech domain shows your focus and intent, building credibility with VCs and customers, and anyone who sees it knows instantly this is a tech startup. If you are building a tech startup, you want a .tech domain, and that's because it just makes sense. And if I were you, I'd skip the workaround domains and go straight for the loudest signal. Head over to get.tech/codestory or a domain registrar like GoDaddy or Namecheap and grab the perfect .tech domain today. That's get.tech/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mailtrap, an email platform developers love. Try for free at mailtrap.io. That's mailtrap.io. This episode is sponsored by Postman. APIs are the foundation of reliable AI, and reliable APIs start with Postman. Trusted by 98% of the Fortune 500, Postman is the platform that helps over 40 million developers build and scale the APIs behind their most critical business workflows. With Postman, teams get centralized access to the latest LLMs and APIs, MCP support, and no-code workflows, all in one platform. Quickly integrate critical tools and build multi-step agents without writing a single line of code. Start building smarter, more reliable agents today. Visit postman.com/podcast/codestory to learn more. That's postman.com/podcast/codestory. So with that, Ben, the next step, right, is how have you progressed and matured it, right? And I think, to wrap that in a box, what I normally ask about is roadmap, and that could be company roadmap, that could be product roadmap, that could be all kinds of stuff. But I'm curious about how you and the team go about deciding that this is the next most important thing to address, to build with Infinity.
Really, it comes down to when we start needing a service function and there's not a good service provider in the space, or we have to start hiring a team for it. It's like, why hire a team when I can go get a repeat founder and incentivize them to build a service? Because if our 8 companies need it, then probably thousands of other companies need it. And so we have a couple in the tech services space that I won't speak of because we haven't publicly talked about it yet. That's coming out next. But that's generally how we find the next thing. It's, do we have a really qualified operator? Is there market demand? And are we some of that market demand? And so it's a bit of a dog fooding motion before we decide what to build.
Tell me about team, right? And I'm curious about, there's team of the folks that, are close to you that you're working with. And there's also those repeat founders, right? So I think there's probably 2 different sets of criteria there. What do you look for in each of those types of people to indicate that they're the winning horses to join you?
I think for me, for one, at the platform level at Infinity, I'm looking for people who are master generalists, who are bar raisers, and they can just context switch like crazy because we're starting a lot of new companies and we're scaling and we're deploying a lot. And so that's the vibes really at the platform. And then for the teams and the founders that we're seeding, I'm really just looking for somebody that's light behind their eyes, or they're incredibly magnetic and generally unstoppable. So think positive Thanos, if that makes sense, where it's okay, this person's going to run through a wall, they're inevitable, they're going to do it, they're going to get it done. And it's really hard to quantify that because in some people it looks one way and other people it looks another way. But it's this relentless unstoppability. And generally the best founders in the world I find have that. And you just have to figure out what that is. And I spent a lot of time figuring out what that is in me. And there's a lot of failed starts on doing that, but I'm in flow on that myself now. And I think that's an incredibly important thing that we look for in people we build with.
This episode is brought to you by PropelOff. People take authentication for granted, but it's more than how customers log into your product. It's how you manage your relationship with your users. The easiest way to make authentication your advantage is to use PropelOff. PropelOff is more than just functional. It's powerful. With tools like Managed UIs, Enterprise SSO, robust user management features, and actionable insights, PropelOff adapts as your product grows. And the best part? When auth is effortless, your team can focus on scaling, not troubleshooting. That means more releases, happier customers, and more growth for your business. Save dev time, win over your customers, and propel your business forward with PropelAuth. Check them out at propelauth.com. That's PROPELAUTH.com. This episode is sponsored by Search. In today's digital landscape, search isn't just a feature, it's a cornerstone. And you need a user experience that drives customer satisfaction. You need Search. Search is lightning-fast performance, returning answers in less than 50 milliseconds. Yeah, you heard that right. Faster than the blink of an eye. The open-source AI search engine is plug-and-play, so you can get up and running in minutes with smart presets, allowing you to start searching through your data with zero configuration. Search utilizes advanced full-text search and AI, ensuring your results are ultra-relevant with semantic depth. It's multimodal, supporting images, videos, and audio, along with being federated, i.e. searching across multiple data sources. And it's developer-friendly. Whether you're building a content-rich website or enterprise application, Search delivers the experience your users expect and deserve. For a limited time, CodeStory users can get 2 months free. Use the promo code CODESTORY, all one word, at checkout. Just go to melisearch.com and get started today. That's MEILI search.com. Okay, so let's go back to my other question then that I started. So scalability, and scalability can be around technology, sure. There is technical scalability. There's also people. Services can sometimes be a little bit different in that regard. It's not quite as elastic. So tell me about how you approach scalability. I know you have a unique approach with it, and I'm curious about if there's been any areas where you've had to fight it as you've grown.
The biggest thing I'm fighting now is I made one of our cultural pillars headcount kills. I feel like I've just been in this repeat movie at venture-backed companies where we raise a bunch of money, hire a bunch of people. Oh, we're to be the next Facebook. And then it's actually, we're not. The market changed. Sorry. The venture model encourages a lot of people to incentivize growth with headcount. And I think that cuts very against AI and the AI service businesses. So that's why we've made headcount kills basically a cultural pillar of our companies. Our average company has about 6 people. And our goal is to build businesses using true technology, because I think that's the path to really creating alpha for your investors, but also creating really good businesses for the employees at those businesses and the customers, because that's the promise that we have. And so that's one vector. And then that forces you really to adopt technology. And then the second is you have to, if you just say, oh, headcount kills, don't hire anybody, sorry, your revenue is going to be flat. So you have to increase your revenue and grow that. Well, then how do you do that? It's applied AI. And so you have to have a very strong tech team and really switched on developers that can come in and cash the checks that you're writing, basically, as a founder. And so the mix of those two things is the secret sauce to how we scale and how we plan to scale.
So as you step out on the balcony, you look across all that you've built with Infinity Constellation in particular, what are you most proud of?
It's corny, but it's the people. We've just got a crazy bunch of repeat founders and people who have, I don't know, I walk into the business every day and I can't believe the track records of all the people I have working with us. From the board, the investors, all the way down. We have Charlie Songhurst on our board. We have Howard Morgan as an investor, Francis Pedraza on the board, Maria Palma, and then all the way down to our founders. Any of them could go and raise their own venture round, build their own businesses, but they're all choosing to build and dig in with us. And my first business I was a part of was Simple, out of banking. And I just felt like the stupidest person in the room, right? There was just a bunch of really awesome, smart people at that business. And I feel like that again. And that's a weird thing for the CEO of the business to say, but it's I just get the chance to work with these just amazing, smart people. And my goal and my opportunity is to continue to raise that bar and attract the world's best talent to building this, because we think we're onto something with AI services here, because it's really a once in a generation opportunity to redefine service industries that have never been touched.
Okay, let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
As a SaaS founder or as a normal venture-backed startup founder, it's if I needed to create sales, hire sales, do the sales team, hire the salesperson, roll them in, measure the metrics, go. In a holdco, it's a different dynamic where if I start doing too much for one business, I should really be the CEO of that business. And I'm overreaching. So Munger always was saying you need to make allocations, you need to align incentives. Well, you really shouldn't, his philosophy wasn't getting in and messing with his businesses. And I would say that my 2 biggest mistakes is one, over messing with a business, and I'm not the expert. The founder of that business is the expert. And so I always have to check my I want to like jump in the boat and hustle up and help the business. So I always have to check myself there. And then the second is like when I resource things, we're really intentional about what we centralize. So like we centralize finance because it gives us like asymmetric data and we can operate as like almost a quant hedge fund when we're deploying to companies because we have to make a bunch of deployments like every month. And so we just have to be a lot crisper on like how we're deploying. So finance is a key thing and we've centralized it. Versus like I tried to do that with sales because I was like, oh, like sales would be better centralized and all our founders would appreciate that. And they said they wanted that. But then when I did it, like all the business funnels were different. It sounds so obvious now, like it's, oh, duh. But I really found it's best to like resource sales and go to market at the company level. And they get much better results. There's more accountability. There's better growth.
Let's move forward then. So I'm curious about, you're obviously passionate about what you're doing and the successes that you're having. I'm curious about the future. What does the future look like for Infinity, for what you're offering, what you're building, and for your team?
For us, it's like a couple different things. Our biggest rate limiting factor is finding great CEOs. That's like why I love doing these kind of podcasts, because it's like, come find us, come build with us, plug. But my goal is to like create something like 16 to 20 businesses. I want to get to about 100 million in ARR, and that'll hopefully translate to about $1 billion, $1.5 billion of EV. And ultimately, we want to IPO. Like that's the future. And like we want to keep going after that and access public market debt to be able to fund our businesses, because like we believe we're disrupting $1 trillion service industry that hasn't been disrupted for hundreds of years. Think of the last time like a law firm, there's been a lot of SaaS software for a law firm, but like when is the last time like one of the big law firms like really got disrupted, right? There's just so much soil to till in this thesis and it's like really working. And AI every month just keeps like unlocking 20 to like 100% more leverage because the models are getting better, because so much capital is like flowing into that space and getting better and better. And I don't think like a lot of people understand how fast the market's changing and adopting. It's like the equivalent to being like something like cloud computing is getting launched every quarter, right? There's a massive amount of GDP in the world to unlock. And that's really what we're getting started. So for us, for people who are working with us, like we want to create like multiple unicorns and like we need more people on the ride. And that's what my team and founders that are signing up for are building with us. We want to like redefine service industries that are going to unlock tons of GDP, first in the US, but then in other international markets. That's the second. And then really we're going to take this out to public markets and get after it when we've earned the right to do that. So that's the vision.
Let's switch to you, Brennan. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to and why.
The first is like one of my long-term friends and mentors is Shamir Karkal, and he's just like a brilliant person. He's one of the founders of Simple, and he's an early investor in TransferWise, and he's just one of those really prolific system thinkers that's invested in most of fintech, and he's just an incredible person. So he's someone that I've always kept close, and he helps guide the way. On like the bigger scale, I look at the way like Citadel is built and think like what Ken has done at Citadel around, first of all, like attracting fund managers and then being really data driven and then locking everyone. Like he goes out and attracts the best like portfolio manager, locks them in with the best incentives, and then really does a great job of scaling that. And so Citadel is like a beast. And I look at that model and I go like, why can't that exist in like tech, or why can't that exist in AI services? So that's like a person I really look up to. And then I would say in technology, there's a lot of people right now that are building incredibly cool things. I think the most interesting, like politics aside, I think the most like interesting thing that's out there is Anduril and Palmer Luckey, like going out and building drones and going out and build. Who would have thought someone could go and disrupt the primes in the defense space and really build like technology to protect the US and its allies? I think that's an incredibly ambitious founder and an incredibly ambitious company. And I think that's something that I look at and I go, okay, if he can go in and disrupt the primes and he can literally try to, reinvent the whole defense industry, we're just trying to build some recruiting and design and EA companies. Like that's nothing. If he can do that, we can get after this.
Brennan, last question. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world, and can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person, having gone down this road a bit, several times in a couple different ways?
Do what you love. And that sounds like the stupidest. That's cliche. But it's like actually like really deep, right? And so like the first time I founded something, all the math worked out, the product market fit worked out, all like you read all the angles, put everything through the framework, you raise money, it's all working. But like end of the day, people like they basically forget how much leverage like loving what you do and founder fit has. So like right now, I'm like incredibly good at context switching, and that makes me a very powerful CEO of a holdco. If you went and hired someone in and they tried to compete with me, like they would burn out because I just love what I do. I love finding new companies. I love starting new AI service businesses. Like we've really created like a factory that can just create a new AI service business. And that's something that Francis and I have worked really hard to do. So it's like incredibly hard to compete with us on that. And that gives us a lot of leverage over folks in the market that are competing. I say that story because I think it's really important for that founder on a plane to do a lot of soul searching and be like, okay, like someone the other day was, I won't say the business because it might be too obvious because I was just talking to this person, but think of like a dreary industry that's not that, let's say you were like moving gravel and you had a SaaS company to move gravel and your heart's not in it. There's going to be someone out there that like loves moving gravel and like maybe they move gravel with their parents and they just live, eat, and breathe moving gravel. They're going to have 20, 30% leverage over you. It's not just about, oh, I see a business and it's profitable and no one's seen that angle. Let me go build it. And I think a lot of first-time founders think it's all about the angle and the business. And even like investors, I think, get caught up in this when it's like really the thing I underwrite to is like, you can underwrite to if someone's 10x or not, right? Based on their track record, what they've done, like how they show up, all of that. But it's really hard to suss out. I spend 90% of my time when I work with a founder, like sussing out what do they love? What do they really want to be? And then I spend all my time aligning incentives to that, like radically. And I think that like most people, like if someone's sitting on a plane next to me doing that, my biggest advice is really dig in and do soul searching. It's if you start a mortgage brokering business, do you really love mortgage brokering or you just think it can make you a lot of money? Because like, you're probably not going to be the guy to make a lot of money if like your answer is, oh, this is really profitable and like the MVP works, right?
Right on. No, that makes total sense. And that's great advice. Do what you love. Well, Brennan, I appreciate you being on the show today. Appreciate you telling the creation story of Infinity Constellation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
Running a business can be exhausting. Building your website shouldn't be. With Wix, you can express your ideas, give direction, then leave the heavy lifting to AI. From site creation to branded content and images. Have fun with the details. Customize what you want the way you want. And manage your whole business from a centralized dashboard with expert AI tools. Build, scale, and enjoy the incredible results. You can do it all yourself on Wix.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.